I don't know if you guys have started, but I can't hear anything.
Let's just stand by. I'm going to go downstairs and log on. And if you could just test the mic.
Patty likes to sing.
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
I get to sing.
That's right. That was a nice debut.
Okay, you can hear us okay now. Correct, Donna?
Yep, everything's fine now.
Okay.
We're good.
You missed out on Patty's rendition of Mary Had a Little Lamb.
So consider remaining ARPA spending requests is the next item on the agenda. And so that we can move through these and evaluate and, vote on them, I would recommend that we start with a motion to approve the specific requests that we're talking about.
Can I just make one comment before you get started? So today I received an email from Bill Frank, and the final report that I put in your packet was not the most latest report. So they changed their report right at the last minute. I didn't get a copy of that, so I submitted what was there, but there's a short email here from Bill explaining a couple of changes, and then the updated document is there, and I could go over that if you want, or if you just take a minute to read it.
So this is really new material.
Not really new. It was what was presented at the April 13th meeting.
Right.
But what was in your packet is the old version. It's the only version I had. So an update was made at the last minute. I was not given a copy. Bill happened to read the meeting packet for tonight and noticed the difference, and that's why I emailed the revised document. It's very subtle changes, but.
If the 32,200 in reserve is no longer there, does that change any of the numbers of the specific projects?
The numbers you have in front of you do not reflect any kind of reserve. So
okay.
The numbers in front of you those numbers are the numbers.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Sure.
So based upon the document that is identified as the ARPA Advisory Committee recommendations to the Select Board, this one right here.
Yes.
So if the committee's recommendation is, starting at the top, that says Town of Underhill Center Sidewalk Project, and ends at the BRMS Browns River Middle School Disc Golf Course, the total recommendations of the committee are $655,409.
That's including the joint requests.
Right. Of that $655,409, you can take out $92,958, which is 38% of the project for the joint between Underhill and Jericho.
Correct. Those are highlighted.
Essex.
Yeah, those are highlighted differently.
So that gives us a balance of $562,445.
Sounds right. Yes.
So if we add up all the remaining items left in this project report, are we going to exceed or be just under that balance of $562,445?
It's right it's within $1, I think. There was a couple rounding things in there, but I ran through the numbers. Jennifer ran through the numbers. That's what I was provided by Jennifer.
Okay, so this $32,200 that Bill presented today at 9:58 a.m.
Yeah.
Where does that come in?
So if you look back at the original sheet,
Yes?
it had 32,200 and it basically said it was a line item for overruns and changes in estimates. So they decided, and as Bill describes here, he said, after allocating funds to the project, we'd all agreed on 32,000 remaining. We decided to reserve this amount for project that exceeded original amount funding. This was eliminated from my report and more importantly, eliminated from our recommendations. He's just, in my opinion, he's clarifying that.
Okay.
If I have it wrong, I'm not sure. I was, like I said, I just wasn't privy to all the attachments and Jennifer.
That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Is that the way you read that?
I just want to make sure that I'm very clear.
So,
I'm just going to add them up.
So if you looked at page 10, your copy has this item. After allocating funds, if you looked at your packet, mine with the out-of-date report says, we decided to reserve this amount for projects 32. Is that what it says in your packet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the update, the one you should have today in front of you that I copied right here, if you go to page 10, you should see how that's been taken out.
So
And that's the document that he prepared or provided me today.
does the committee then feel that it's wise to spend? Okay, so when I add up, I hope somebody else will take the time to add up the rest of these projects that are in white on the budget thing. I'm coming up with $544,445. So if I subtract 562,445, whoops. I see that we have a balance in reserve of $18,000 exactly.
Well, let's straighten this out. Let me go get
So I
my,
just did the addition. I've got the total.
I'll go get my calculator, but the numbers have been checked several times.
The total
So,
for the 562.
So 180,942, 138,003, $100,000, $31,000.
No, 49.5.
We gotta go back and get that one, but the next one is 31,000. So I got 31,000 and
Okay.
49,500.
Yep.
$22,000,
Mhm.
$18,000,
Yep.
$13,000.
what number do you have? 549?
I'm doing it. So now I'm coming up with 562,445. So now I'm right on the money.
Exactly.
I must have missed that 18,000. Okay, sorry.
We're good. I checked the math too.
Well, I don't want to give award money to somebody and then not have it, and we're like, uh-oh,
It's all good.
now we're good.
Yeah, it's all good. We just.
Yep.
I checked it myself, but I doubt myself sometimes.
So I guess, is there any wisdom in holding back any money at all, or just award it? I guess is my question.
Well, if you want my recommendation on how to proceed, I think Dan was going to put a motion on the table, maybe go down through each one. I wouldn't say there's any pressure to do all of these tonight. If you have doubt about a certain one, skip over it. Take the priority ones and.
At the same time, I'm hoping we can get through this and move ahead so that folks that have individual projects can take action.
Sure. I would say
Supplies
there's,
and coordinating contractors to get things done. There's a timing issue.
sure. But again, funds allocated by 24, spent by 26. So,
Mhm.
So I'm ready to make a motion.
I have one more question. So Brad, the bucket of ARPA funds, that's total. I think we spent some already. Is that not correct?
so the balance sheet, if you look at the balance sheet, that has the total. So we had some during the time period of COVID. That was a special opportunity for lost revenue. And that's where those funds are accounted for.
So we've already spent, for example, so I'm looking at this page, Dan.
Right,
This
right.
one, on technology, we spent $15,939
Correct.
in energy and road repairs, and there's 4 projects that we've already spent money on.
So we're talking about the remaining
Right,
ARPA
okay.
funds.
Okay, that's very clear. What was the sidewalk infrastructure? Was that the feasibility study?
No. That was the sidewalk so we knew because of COVID, the time period was extended to build the sidewalk. The sidewalk took forever to build.
Right, you're talking about the flats.
Talking about the flats.
Okay.
And then as a result of it taking forever to build, because the state recommended that we extend the time period because we were doing it in the middle of COVID, that drove the inspection costs up. We had unexpected, unforeseeable things. I applied for a grant, received another $92,000. I would say that since I left, I was the one that got this grant in the beginning, I believe, when I was on the select board. And the idea was to allocate in the budget each year a piece for the match, right? So it was matching funds tied to this grant. So there was a period of time they were putting money away for the match, then that stopped. So we had to come up with our money for our match, which we didn't have. The job overran and it took more time.
Right, and it was good that we had that to be able to use it.
And it was all related to COVID.
Okay, I'm ready. You had something on the tip of your tongue?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to make a motion.
Okay,
I'm going to move that we approve all of the projects as presented by the ARPA committee that are presented here without any revisions.
I will second that.
Okay.
So discussion on that motion.
Yep. So I struggled a lot with the Underhill Center sidewalk project. And it wasn't until about 5:15 this afternoon that I reached out and spoke to Anton, the chair of the Recreation Committee. And Anton and I had a very good conversation. And I was reminded that this is what the residents of the town of Underhill who participated wanted. And the ARPA committee acknowledged that. And that's why that particular project was so highly recommended. And I feel that while my personal feelings may be different, I need to acknowledge that this is what the residents want. It's not what I want, it's what the residents want. And I can accept that. So that's why I'm moving forward to accept all of the recommendations from the committee.
Dovetailing on that, I appreciate your, reaching out and finding out more information. And I think the hidden value and maybe the hidden horror of the sidewalk project is that this is a, true, we have a rural town and, we've had this road forever. but I see, people with strollers and little kids going down that road. And, nothing's happened in how many years? But I think it's a safety issue. And the more people who are using the area, so I guess I'm supporting what the residents want on the basis of safety. And the other thing on the sidewalk in particular, I think that doing something that we have the opportunity to do with this money from ARPA enables us, it showcases some activity. And I'm hoping that the other safety issue that is square in our face, and that is the pedestrian and bike travel down River Road, that is in the plan, it's in the town plan, and that's on our radar, and we're trying to figure that out. But I'm hoping that that moves that up to visibility and priority. But that's what my feeling is from listening to people like you have, and what this means.
I think that's probably one of the hardest things as a member of the select board is listening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And trying to keep an open mind on these things. So I appreciate Bill Frank and all of the members of the committee, and especially Anton.
All right.
My comments on the remaining projects in white on our list, I don't know how many there are there, but in the proposal, I'm in support of all the projects as listed and the dollars assigned to them. But in the proposal, there's two things that I would just like to put on the record. The committee, which did great work, is recommending for the sidewalk project that a sidewalk committee be formed, in that they've actually recommended assignments from the ARPA committee and an employee who's just left. If we're voting on these, I just want to be clear if we're voting on just the assignment of dollars and not necessarily the underlying detail behind them.
Correct.
Okay.
You're voting on the spreadsheet that's in front of you.
Okay, because specifically for the sidewalk project, I would be very comfortable having Brad lead that project, and obviously you would bring in committee folks as needed. But obviously, given your experience with the last sidewalk project and the necessity of having somebody be lead here, I would think that would naturally fall to you to be on that project to lead it through.
Yeah. So my recommendation is, you've got a planning grant that's going to start. We've been awarded $80,000. That's going to start sometime in July or August.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a good opportunity to form a committee to work with those folks. I can just tell you, as I've vocalized in the past, that once you go down a planning route, you probably won't get the opportunity to spend this money in the given time frame. It'll take a year to complete the study. Engineering and surveying are not part of the study. That's another phase.
Mm-hmm.
Usually projects that start out with a study, like the Flats did, go down the route of a federally funded project. So when a federally funded, and I wrote about this in the town report, if any of you read my town administrator's report, but federal funds come with a lot of strings, and it comes with a lot of time. So if we reflect back on the flat sidewalk, the time where we started the feasibility study to the time it was actually constructed was about 12 years. Granted, it was on a state highway, so that complicated things. There's right-of-way that needs to be acquired. There's lots of communication, lots of public forum. Community buy-in is huge when it comes to a sidewalk. right? Everybody needs to be on board. I think I have some thoughts, as you know, but I think sections of sidewalk could be built with this funds. But I don't want to step on any toes. You're going down the feasibility route like you decided, so just keep that in mind.
Okay. But to be clear, for tonight, we're approving dollars, not
Committees.
not committees, not structure, not process.
Right.
Okay.
Not in my opinion,
the
unless
other-
somebody sees something differently.
Yeah, the other comment that I want to make is the town's hall solar panel project. I'm in complete support of having solar offset some of our electricity use. I would like to see it on the rooftop versus filling the back field here. And the proposal was to.
The side
panels,
here, yeah.
Yeah, or in the back open space area. So as that project goes forward, I'd like to see some consideration on that.
So the roof was looked at. We were told that because, this building faces north-south. That's due north, south. The only south-facing roof we have is this one here on the addition. And basically they said that we probably wouldn't be able to put enough panels on that particular roof
Could
to.
we put it at the town garage?
That's possible.
Still offsets our electricity use and we can net meter it.
Yep.
Well, don't we have different power companies? One, the co-op is on the garage and Green Mountain Power is here.
So just like.
Either way, I mean,
Both.
Just
both
like
allow net metering, so.
Just like the Beartown solar array and our gravel pit,
Right.
we get benefit from both Green Mountain Power and from co-op.
So I'm in support of the funding, just the actual process of how it's put up and specifics of what's put up and where it's put up, I would be interested in.
to be determined.
I would echo your concern. I think that while it was probably well thought out when it was applied for, and I appreciate all the work that went into that, I'm wondering if we need to relook at that location. I'm all for the funding, I'm all for the solar.
Exactly.
I am wanting to make sure that, I have solar on my roof. But I wonder about the complications that may not have been thought of.
But if we can approve funds tonight and the specifics can be addressed at a later date as the projects move forward.
Well, it is kind of tied to a specific project, and it's laid out in your packet, all the projects that's what the estimate was based on, putting it there, I believe. So, a couple of the hiccups over there is, of course, we have our septic field in the back here, and there's a small area, but the further you go that way, the more treed it gets. When I was out here with Sun Common, or Jennifer and I met with a person, they suggested cutting this maple here and trying to put it on a southwesterly position, ganged up, but I'm not sure of the aesthetics of that, but
I hate to lose a nice maple tree.
yeah, the maples are struggling out there. I think they're root bound and they're kind of struggling, but
if the committee could look at, or whoever's going to lead this project could look at alternate sites, we can put solar over at the garage. There's space over there. Could we put it up on the open field above the old dump? That's town land.
yep, I think, as I said, each of the dollar amounts are tied to a specific project. So, I'm not going to speak for you, but I think if you had concerns about a specific project, maybe it makes sense to relook at some other sites. I don't know. But if you're all for putting that much money into a solar project, then that's a good idea. And then just
we could allocate the funds for solar, and if it costs you can size the solar, it's modular, so you can size the solar, whether it's here or over at the garage, according to how it would fit. If we could get more panels for the money over there or less, then it is what it is, but I'd like to see a different site considered rather than filling the open space.
I'd rather carve it out, and recast it than to approve it and then muddy the waters. Either, I think it's an all or nothing type of thing. Either we approve it all as a complete package, or we carve out that portion of it from, and, look at that project specifically and not allocate the money for that project, because that's based upon what what the Energy Committee presented to ARPA. ARPA vetted it. That's what's before us. I'm not disputing, anything you're saying, Patty, but I just think that the more we monkey with this, it's a dangerous slope, in my opinion. And I'd rather pull it out and award everything else, and then revisit that, with the Energy Committee and the ARPA Committee, and try to come up with some type of balance. I think that would be, in my opinion, I think that would be wise.
I think that would be the easiest thing as well, to do it that way.
If we have reservations, it's just like, well, express that to them and see what they can come up with.
Right. Go back to the drawing boards and let's look at this. We're trying to prevent any buyer's remorse on this. So I think the appropriate thing to do then, in that case, would be to vote down the motion that's on the table. And then, and we could have a new motion, that would reflect what this discussion is about.
Or make an amendment that we remove that particular item from the budget or the original motion. And then if that passes and there's a second, then that would be removed. And then the rest of the motion would stand as far
Okay,
as, either way,
that's
tomato,
a
tomato.
fair
you know,
thing
type of-
too. Would you like to anybody like to make the motion to remove that one item,
I'll
an
make the
amendment?
friendly amendment to the motion to remove the Underhill Energy Committee Town Hall solar panel installation of $49,500.
And I would second that.
Okay. And I would, rather than just tack it on, I would like to vote on that amendment. So it's not, it's still friendly, but it's not friendly. So is there discussion on that particular one? We had started discussion, but any further discussion?
She speaks for everybody.
All in favor of that amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes carry this amendment, 3-0, and we're back to the motion at hand. To approve all, it would be the number 8 instead of the number 9 now, in terms of projects that are remaining on the docket with the funds that are recommended.
Right.
Any further discussion on this? I have one question reaching back into the sidewalk thing. Feasibility, is that preclude the fact that we can't spend money on something that doesn't need to have too much time with feasibility done with it? Like some of what you were suggesting. I understand feasibility study, we could really benefit from certain portions. But as you pointed out, as we walked it, some of these don't really need that much, but it needs money. Is that counterproductive or against the rules of engaging in a feasibility study if we go off and make other plans that
a good question. It is a grant, and we haven't gotten the grant award yet, but the official document. But it's really, I'm not sure if we even really get an official document. I think that letter was, but in the grant application, it talked about, I think, basically from Sand Hill Road to the Central School. So,
Well, can we use the grant just for specific, narrow it to Sand Hill to the center to the old store and the church?
I could ask that question for sure. And I don't think it hurts to, I think the sidewalk, I'm a believer in the sidewalk. My feelings are, it would be nice to see, this is something that's obtainable in my mind, is to connect Moore Park and the town hall to the historical society, to the town pond, and perhaps the school. If that was obtainable, that'd be a great goal. It gets much more complicated when you head out of town, and that's where the feasibility study, their expertise might really come in handy. We know that we have 32 feet on the bridge 8 up here, so there's room to fit a sidewalk on the bridge. We have room, obviously the sidewalk's not going to go on the hen house side. It's all full of power poles and there's no room. You have a line of lily plants here that the ladies would all like to pull up and put into bunches because they're so high maintenance. The route is fairly clear. But yes, getting that way is much more complicated. I could ask RPC, now that Nick's gone, I can reach out to them and kind of let them know what we're doing. And maybe after the feasibility study was done, they might agree with what we're thinking and say, yeah, this will, so within a year, maybe you could actually survey and engineer a section and get it built by 26.
Yeah, we could find out how much of that route, 180,000 would support.
Yeah, the big difference is it's much more cost effective for the town to do their own work. Once you start to seek grants come with hitches, especially if there's federal money involved. The inspection, if you read my report, once a federal project is awarded to a town, there's only 5 inspection groups in the state of Vermont that are qualified to oversee a federal project. And the price tag on inspection is upwards around $100,000. That's just for inspection. That's not to mention surveying, engineering, all the steps along the way. I'm all for grants. I think they're great, but if somehow the town could get something accomplished in a reasonable manner and show something for it. Town of Cambridge did that. They had great success. They had an idea what they wanted, and they went after it and got it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brad, that this thoroughfare right here, right in front of the connection points that you just listed that's where it would be most beneficial.
But see what the feasibility study, if they agree, yes, this is, you could just give them that idea right off the bat, or you could say nothing and try to not bias their opinion and see if they come up with something different. I think there's time.
Okay.
There's time.
Any other discussion? I'm done. Okay, all in favor of approving the slate of items on the white columns without the one taken out with the amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes carry this motion 3-0. So next steps.
Go home.
Well, certainly I think it makes sense to get back together with the Energy Committee. Sorry, makes sense to get back to the Energy Committee and kind of get that moving. And but that's something that's obtainable too. The solar panels and coming up with a good resolution for that. Some of these other projects are a little more time sensitive. The only thing I might add is some of them are also contingent on permitting. like the trail around the school, which I think is an awesome project, that'll need to obtain a permit.
Mhm.
So, and obviously all this funding is contingent on it working.
Mhm.
It's a work in progress.
I
At least
think
it
we
is
made a
now.
huge step. So
See ya.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
well, the only thing I would like to say is the reason I put that on the agenda is because I don't think you really got a chance to see the award letter. That was kind of a draft. That was something that you decided at the time. It would be nice to have a separate letter that where the recipient acknowledges. So I don't know if it would make sense to just take a quick look at that, or if you're all good with it. We accepted the resolution. You never really accepted the award letter.
Okay, that's right. That's the resolution.
So each award letter is tailored for the award.
So I've read the notice of award letters, and I'm in support of how they are written, all of them. Do you want a motion to approve?
I think it would be good for tidy
Okay.
housekeeping.
I move that we approve the award letters provided in our packet as drafted. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And continue to use that same format for the rest of them.
Yes, and
Okay.
continue that, using that format for all the other expenditures.
Yeah, I think the format should be repeated for the other 8.
That's the idea, yeah.
Mhm.
The only other thing I'll just bring up is, so the ARPA committee was never officially dismissed, and maybe that's a good thing, because maybe they may get involved back again. Is that your intent, or that's the question I have for you?
Yeah, they're not done
Okay.
until we are all done singing.
Sounds good. That answers that.
I'd say right up until the end of when the last penny that needs to be spent, keep
Okay.
them,
Just in case we
keep
need
them,
to
yeah, keep them.
assemble them for some reason.
I don't think they'll mind.
Yeah, there's no reason to meet, just the committee should stay in existence.
Well, yeah, especially until we figure out the solar change, so it'd be a good idea, perhaps. Okay, it answers my question.
We, on the Energy Committee, how can we move that forward quickly so that we don't hold that project
Well,
up?
we'll get Jennifer, since she's still the staff support for the ARPA committee, and we'll get the Energy Committee back together. We'll get it rolling.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Are we ready to adjourn?
I am.
A motion, we adjourn.
Oh, go ahead. I
Second,
was just so excited.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
42 minutes.